came to mind was here in the sunroom when we meet. One of the things that we have is we have this little jar of feathers. And the reason we have them is that we ask the ladies to be looking for when someone is doing something that is like above and beyond what would be expected in some form or another, or just a kindness shown or something like that. And they go and give them a feather for doing that. And then when we have our meeting together, like whoever ends up having the most feathers wins, and there's a prize, blah blah. Anyway, the prize is irrelevant. It's the fact that it trains our brain to watch for the little simplicities in a day, in relationship, that, and when ladies even pass out feathers during the meeting, sometimes they'll say, oh, I wanted to give so and so a feather. And they just say the reason why they're giving it. Like hearing those little things out loud in a circle is so uplifting and empowering. So yeah, little things are big things.
They really are. It's a big deal. Yeah. It's the little habits that train your brain, actually change your brain. It's just like trauma changes the brain, so can recovering.
That's
and right. You can undo old patterns.
Yep.
So,
and that's what it's really about. Even that exercise, just training your brain to look for something different, to see differently. And
we have a lot of ladies that come in here and they're like, so we do just that feather examples one, but also like we write schedules for them every day. And sometimes that gets a little monotonous, kind of boring. And why do I do this? Right. But every day that you do something, it trains your brain. Oh, I got to get the schedule for the day. What is my day going to look like? And then they leave here doing that. And it's a skill that they've been doing for 1 to 2 years, however long they're here. And so it really does matter doing them. And then I can also speak even like, so that's a small example, but even a bigger example. Like I attended the SOAR support group for almost 2.5 years. There were some days I didn't speak at all. Then there's some days where I was like talking half the time. And just like doing that and learning to heal in community is huge. And then you learn to be vulnerable around people. You learn to see other people be vulnerable around you. And doing that every day for 2.5 years, that's why like I'll be in a group of strangers and like tell them something about my life and cry in front of them. They're like, what is happening with this girl? And I'm like, it's okay. This is what I do, But this, training your brain by doing those things every day or every week literally is healing.
Yeah. And I love that you brought up, about trauma, because in this work, there's a lot of focus on the trauma, and rightfully so, but there's also equal amount of emphasis needs to be on the healing, because what your brain did to allow you to survive the trauma, it can also do in the other direction in healing. And so I think it's necessary to talk about both of those things.
Yeah. Like Michelle and I and Chelsea and I were all talking this morning, and we were talking about a situation with somebody, and, the question of like, how can we get more free in this area? How can we help this girl get more free in this area? Like, yes, let's talk about the trauma and process that. And let's talk about how we can gain more freedom in an area of our lives.
That's right. And more safe spaces for those conversations to happen, and more plans for them to happen, and encouragement, like we need those things. And as women, we can be really good at doing that for each other.
Yeah.
If we want to be, if we're intentional, and it causes tremendous healing.
Oh, totally. Yeah. So that's great. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh, I could talk about that all day.
I know. We'll get going. But to finish our conversation and direction about the Bonfire Freedom series, so we started out with letting go, cutting cords, making space for the new things that God wants to do now. Because it's amazing when you let go of things that it makes both internal and external space.
Yeah.
And makes room for God to do a new thing in your life. And so I would encourage anybody watching, to take a moment and just take a deep breath,
Yeah.
breathe, and
Mhm.
then close your eyes and ask God, like, what do I need to let go of? And
Mhm.
then write a list of those things, or just write whatever shows up. And then you can close your eyes and just do a visualization of, hand them over to him. He
Mhm.
can do way more about it than you can.
And I work with someone right now that, like, the thought of that is so scary,
Mm-hmm.
of letting go of something that's been in her life for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just want to validate someone's feelings on here right now, that it may look scary to you. You look at the grief smacking you right in the face, and that you don't want to go through that. And I totally get that. It is scary. It is hard. It's sad. It's depressing. And so I just want to validate someone's feelings if they're experiencing that.
Mm-hmm.
Because we talk about letting go, because we have done some letting go of things and we know how good it is for us. And it's hard. So I just want to let someone know, like we understand the feelings of that, and we know that it's painful and difficult and hard. There are hard things to walk out. And you need to make space to, like, feel that and grieve that. Like, grieving is hugely important in this process, and that is why we did this letting
Mm-hmm.
go series, because um grieving, well, our society is not very good at grieving, and they don't know how to do it. And so we wanted to create a space for people to start this journey of, like, okay, I'm going to grieve this, and I'm going to do some, you know, tangible experiences to start the journey or be a part of the journey, and, letting that go spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and things like that. So I just wanted to say that to someone, that if you're grieving or you're about to grieve, we are validating you and your feelings, and we love you, and we want to support you, and we will pray for you and
Mm-hmm.
do all the things to try to help with
Yeah,
that.
and that speaks to, get a support system in place. Like, if you're considering, like, you're it's one thing to decide I need to let go of a habit or a way of thinking, I need to practice something different. But if you're talking about letting go of something like a relationship, a job, something like that that is going to impact your life in a big way. Get a
Mhm.
support system in place.
Yeah.
Like, make a plan for that. Like, build a support system. Talk to people. Hey, I need to do this thing, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna be grieving. It's gonna be hard, and I'm gonna need support. And so,
Mhm.
whether that's friends, family, a local support group, whatever it is, make a plan for that, and
Mhm.
then just do the next thing. Just do the next step of that.
Mhm.
Just keep
Yeah.
taking the steps, because
Mhm.
something that big, it
Could be overwhelming.
very well, it definitely
Yeah.
drastically.
Mhm.
And so it's a process. And yeah, I think
Mhm.
not to be taken lightly.
Yeah, not to be taken lightly. And know that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And
Definitely.
the only way to get to something is to get through something. And so you got to walk through the Red Sea.
Yes.
And the cool thing about it is that God makes a way,
Always.
and he will take the walls of water and let you walk on dry land in the middle of all that grief and all that junk. And he will get you through it. But the only way to get to the other side is to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
But you can do it. Oh, I
And
should start rhyming.
the mix master
Yes.
Hannah over here.
What? I turned into a hip hop artist all of a sudden. Just kidding.
It's funny. Well, and you made me think of when going through an emotionally grieving period, the literally, and this is just to give some, like we're saying, get with God. You can do this. He'll go with you. But sometimes to even have some specifics about um, what we mean by that is that when I was going through a grief period, I had to have my face in that good book
Mm-hmm.
every day, most of the day. There was a few times I literally slept with it on my chest. I needed to feel God physically with me. And that was, to me, in the moment, the best way to do that. I slept with it so I could hug it and feel its presence, because it just made me feel closer to God. So I'm talking about all the things that you need to do to cope, to manage, to walk it out, like press into God with it, whatever that needs to look like for you, because it's a very difficult thing, but it is a very doable thing. Emotions will not kill us.
Yes. I feel like we're going to have a whole podcast on this topic right here.
Yeah.
Just because it's so needed and people are walking out a lot of hard things.
And
there's so many great tools and things to learn in that process. So that could be a whole podcast.
Yeah. I feel like there could be an entire podcast just named "We're Doing Hard Things."
For real.
We are doing hard things. But guess what? We can, and we are, and we will. And it's messy and wonderful all at the same time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You remember when the gentleman at the group last night, I won't say his name, and he was talking about another lady that has been a part of SOAR and her journey and process. And he said, yeah, I feel like when there was like some, like a really great thing that happened in her life, he called it a graduation. And so I just feel like someone needs to know there's a graduation.
There is.
At the end of this for you, and you will make it, but it can feel really hard. It feels like school. You're learning. It's hard. You're writing papers, but you're learning. But the cool thing is there's going to be a big graduation party at the end of this for you. So I just felt like I wanted to say that.
Nice. Yay.
I know. Good stuff.
Yeah. And so bonfire number 2 series.
Dose.
Yes. Do. Bonfire do.
Yeah.
Is
I kind of. Oh, I like that French one. Say that again.
Bonfire do.
We should make this. We should do that.
Put a French twist on it.
Yes. What is one? I took French in high school. Bonfire. That was bonfire. Bonfire. Do. And then we'll talk about bonfire. Toi.
I like it.
Sorry, I'd be a little goofy.
Yes.
That's what we do.
Well, you cannot do consistent.
Literally do.
We cannot do. Consistently do this work, personal ministry or personal development work, without a sense of humor.
I can't get over how good you say that.
I took French in high school.
Bonfire do. I can't even say it.
I have my little twist there.
I love that.
Yeah. I like
All right,
French.
one more time for the folks.
Bonfire do.
Chelsea's cracking up back here.
Yeah.
All right, bonfire dose.
Dose. We've gone to Spanish now.
All right, fuel faith.
Yes, bonfire do was fuel faith, and it was
so good because we got to play with fire.
We actually did. So we got the lighter fluid out, which was fun.
Very, very fun. But that was cool because we talked about like how to fuel our faith. And I'm trying to think of the first 2 points. My brain's trying to remember.
I know. Well, first one was returning to the author and perfecter of our faith. So that we have to go there because he is the author of it.
Yeah.
It's given, he gives it to us as a gift, and then he authors it as we walk on in our journey. So we have to go to him to get faith and to fuel our faith. So we go back to him first. And after that, now I'm
gonna look at
I know.
me for
I'm
the
like, okay,
second
what was
point?
point 2? There was some great.
What was 2? I can remember the third one because I did it.
Okay, go with that one.
Okay. Maybe the second one will come to us. But the third one we talked about like letting our defeat fuel us. So like letting our pain, all the hard things that that were a part of our lives or that happened to us or that we did ourselves, letting that defeat be the fuel, for our next season.
Mm-hmm.
And the how we came up with this was one day I was scrolling on Facebook. Yeah.
How many sentences in life start with that now?
Early in the morning, 5:30 a.m., Hannah's scrolling on
So good.
Facebook. And anyways, I saw this article about the Detroit Lions quarterback, not Bob Goff.
We
I don't
love
know
Bob,
why.
by the way.
We do like Bob Goff. He's a good guy. Jared? God, I can't remember.
Ruff. Is that his last name? R-U-F-F?
Jared Goff.
Jared Goff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I knew the last name was Goff.
All right.
Listen, we don't keep up on names. My dad will be sadly disappointed if he watches this. Anyways, Jared Goff. Shout out to Jared if he watches this. Anyways, he was with the Rams before he came to Detroit, and he was basically dumped by the Rams. That's what the article said. They made it sound so bad, by the way. I'm like, they dumped him. Anyways, so he kind of thought his career was over, and in that article, he literally said he used that to basically work harder and get better and improve, and he said it was like totally worth it,
Yeah.
and so he used that defeat for his next season, and he's starting with the Lions this year, so
Yeah.
I love stories like that.
Me
It's so
too.
cool.
And with that came an exercise. So we asked them to write a list of the things that the enemy has taken from them or that has caused some defeat in their lives, and to make that list. And then they put those things in the Redeemer's fire,
Mhm.
and then ask God to help us use those things as fuel.
Mhm.
And then one of the statements that Mr. Goff had used or said in that article was, he said about, and then it allowed him to get back in there, right?
Yeah.
And so after they did that, we did a little chant like that. We were clapping our hands.
We were like, get back in there, get back in there.
Because it's like, what, the enemy stole something from you. Oh, and we prayed and called it back
Yes.
sevenfold, because read your Bible. We can do that.
Because read your Bible.
Because read your Bible, we
love
can
it.
do that. Like we were calling back everything that the enemy used against us, tried to use to defeat us, and called that back sevenfold, hundredfold. And then we were reminding them to now get back in there.
Yeah.
Use that as fuel.
Mhm.
Use the fact that that God's God and he can do anything with all of that, and he uses everything for good for those of us that love him, and get back in there.
Yeah, get back in the game. And so I think the second one was about, there was something in there about, well, we also like got some oil and
Oh yeah.
anointed some individuals, and
Yeah, prayed and anointed them with oil.
yeah. So that was
wonderful.
cool. It was really cool to see how people were responding to
Oh my goodness.
these bonfires. I mean, the first one was like intense, but people were like, it was so intense, but it was so good, And then the second one, I mean, I took some pictures of some individual, like the whole group. And I mean, they were just so, you could tell by the looks on their faces that this was deeply impacting them.
Yeah, it was I would say like the first one was emotional and intense.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was powerful and prayerful.
Yeah.
It created like a very holy space for people to think about the things that have happened to them and that they've experienced, and then to feel it let go and be redeemed, lifted up to God for redemption and restoration, and then to be prayed over with oil, being anointed. It feels like such a blessing and a sealing, if you will, from the things that we've left,
Mm-hmm.
but an allowing of the new thing to come.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, like you were saying, looking back on some of those pictures and seeing expressions on some of these individuals' faces was just so
Yeah.
touching and beautiful. And
With every, because Michelle and I like to do experiential learning.
mhm.
So we kind of create these experiences, and Michelle and I get to also sit back and kind of see how this is impacting people. And even last night, there was one woman who was putting sticks into the fire, and clearly it meant a lot to her. I mean, she was like in tears. You could see the expression on her face, how much that meant to her.
Mhm.
And so just to like be able to even physically see how that's coming across for people, like in their expressions,
Yeah, yeah.
is really, it's so beautiful.
I noticed one lady with her sticks putting them into the fire. Some came up and just took their little pile of all the things and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of dumped them in and
Mm-hmm.
let them go. And then I noticed one lady in particular was just taking one at a time and just
Mm-hmm.
putting it in there as that act of reciprocal love. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's one of the beautiful things about these experiences is they they do something collectively and they do something individually. So
Yeah.
given where each person is, it meets them where they are and it's just a space for them to be in that. And then
Mm-hmm.
the group together has an experience that is impactful and beautiful.
Well, that's kind of the cool thing about healing,
Mm-hmm.
really, is that we heal individually and we heal together as a community.
Yep.
And that is really awesome to think about,
Yes.
because you get your own healing on the inside of you and your own soul cleansing healing. And like as a group, as a city, as a country, we can heal together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. And
Oh,
wow.
that's
You were
good.
just now that you said that, okay, I'm going to do something random because you just made me think and I feel like I'm just supposed to share this. So I'm going to bear with me 2 seconds. There's a Bible verse that God showed me yesterday. And I just think it's valid in this moment. So it's out of Job. It's chapter 34. And it says, let us choose justice for ourselves. Let us know among ourselves what is good. And I feel like anytime you take something to the people or
Mm-hmm.
something goes back to the people
Mm-hmm.
and things are entrusted to them, most of the time they will do good.
Oh, yeah.
They will do the right
Mm-hmm.
and good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that empowering individuals, reminding them of the power they have in God with Jesus in them,
Mm-hmm.
and living from that is a really beautiful antidote to current circumstances in our world.
Yeah. Where we need to start coming together and thinking about the good.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
focusing on that, like, and getting our faces out of screens
Mm-hmm.
and in
Yeah.
front of one another because guess what? When I turn on the TV, I hear a whole lot of negativity. But when
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting around a bonfire and I see what's really going on for people and when I hear what's really on their hearts, that negativity is not true.
Exactly.
Some of that is happening, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone is good.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a fact. Evil
Well, I just
exists.
think about little things like when I walk in like gas stations or uh the dollar store, the Dollar General. Love that store. Don't ask me why.
Or TJ's.
Yeah, or TJ's. But when I like talk to the cashier, you know, and even if it's like making casual small talk,
Yeah.
it's a like 9 times out of 10, it's a pleasant experience.
Yeah.
Because people, they want to be, we're yearning for love. It just goes back to love.
Everyone.
So like, you know, me going in and making somebody laugh, like the cashier, or saying, "Hey, you're doing a good job," and I'm encouraging them, you know, whatever it is. That's really what we want. We all want love and to be loved, and that's what we need to focus on. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Instead of all the negativity and all of that, how can we love each other
Mm-hmm.
and ourselves and God? And how can we like show that love? Because love is going to be the thing that unites us as a community and country, and your in your families.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be the thing that heals.
And I just read a verse this morning talking about knowledge does not heal, only love does.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want to change anything or impact anything, that's the only way you're going to do it. You're not going to do it any
Yeah.
other way. And
Mm-hmm.
and I just am excited about the concept of reminding people that, you know what, we're good, and we can do good, and we don't get it right all the time, and we blow it constantly, but we can start another day
Yeah.
and go again. But just and reminding people of the inherent power they have, to choose,
Yeah.
you know, to
Yeah.
choose to unplug from the nonsense, choose to be together around a bonfire and
Mm-hmm.
talk about the things that really matter to you as people and families. And
Well, and most of us want to be good.
yeah.
Like we want to make, and I don't even know if I should say good, but like we want to be healthy and kind and loving and, you know, lifting people up and all those kinds of things. And when we don't make that choice, there's something going on. We
Right.
just need to check in and say, what's happening for me here?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we do want to love one another, and we do want to be good and make decent choices and be healthy. And when I just think somebody needs that reminder that you're not a bad person.
Mm-mm. No matter what you've done.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, you can take that to God. He wants to forgive you and
Yep.
remember it no more, as his word says. So,
That's a whole nother podcast.
oh yeah, it
I
is.
could
We
be
won't even go
going.
there.
Yeah, we won't. We can't keep going on that because it'll be stirring up in my bones.
I know we'll be in here for a couple hours. But I was going to say too, like the two things that all human beings want are love and meaning,
Yeah.
right? We want love and we want our lives to mean something. And we can do that together. We don't need government. We don't need big systems to do that. We can do that right where we are
Mm-hmm.
with the people we're with every day, all the time, and have a massive impact on lives. And so I just feel like it's
Period.
really important. Like, go carve out, period.
But my period is like some people's amens or
Mhm.
some people's preach it. I say period.
Got me saying it now. But, you know, that's the truth of it, is that
Mhm.
find love and meaning where you are with who you're with and
Mm-hmm.
work on it,
Yeah.
because it's going to change a lot of things.
Yep.
Don't-
Just right where you are.
I'm back at full circle. My t-shirt, the little things are the big things.
Period. Jinx, you owe me a pop.
Okay.
Just kidding. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah.
Oh.
It used to be, I had my little cousin always, when I would babysit him all the time, we would do that. And he would say, Jinx, Shelly, owe me a Coke.
Yeah. Or a Pepsi. Yeah. That's
So-
funny. All right. Chelsea, you got some questions for us?
Yes. So, on our very first episode, Snark Sista commented, "How do you find that improvement of God's love? You say that's all you need to make a difference, but how do you get that kind of love?"
Well,
Do you want to go?
uh-huh.
She's like, uh-huh.
Because, you know, love.
Hold on, wait.
Mm.
First of all, shout out to Snark Sista.
Yes.
Thanks for asking that question. And
Yeah.
that's very brave of you to ask. So thank you.
Thanks. Yes. We appreciate you asking.
Mhm.
And so I just have to declare, because we did that last night too, is that love and freedom are those are my jams. Anytime the subject is love or freedom, I'm lit up. So
She's going to make a jam sandwich over
Yeah.
here. Just wait for it.
well, it's again with the t-shirt. The small things are the big things,
Mhm.
right? So to know about improving love for yourself and with God is read the Bible. Get your face in that book every single day. And when you sit down with it, I just want to encourage you. God said that, his word was made flesh, and the word was God, right? So when you are sitting down with that Bible, that is a living, breathing word. There's nothing like it on the earth. And when you sit down with that, there's a degree, I believe, of reverence that we should come before that book and revere it as God and ask him to speak to you through it before you even open the pages. I will say a prayer, God, I thank him for the book, for himself in my life, and ask him speak to me. I'm going to open this book and start reading, meet me on these pages and tell me what you want me to know, and then make it clear in my heart, on my mind, so that, I can receive what you have for me. And I promise you, if you do that, he will meet you there, and you will come to know a love like you have never known before. I guarantee you that.
Yeah. And I would suggest a couple things. Is the first thing is do the bonfire experience. The exercise of what we were talking about is just writing down all the ways that maybe God has shown love to you, and really truly thinking about that. And sometimes people are like, oh, that was just Sally being nice to me, when sometimes it's God showing love through a person. And I know I was watching or listening to this video one time, and this girl was just saying that she knows that God loved her through her husband. And sometimes when you pray things and God knows specifics, he knows what's on your heart, and you pray something like that, and he shows up for you in whatever that way looks like, that that's from God, right? So first pray, and then two, think about the different ways that God shows up for you, and how does he love you, and kind of think and reflect about that. And then the third thing I would say is get with someone, a coach, a mentor, a pastor, someone that can kind of lead and guide you in learning more about how God loves us. And keep tuning into this podcast, because these are the things that we want to talk about, so tuning in with someone, getting some real good leadership and mentorship and guidance and because what helps is processing. We'll sit here all day and be like, I think that was God. I think that this situation happened. We'll say a thing. And I'm like, I think God is saying something here. And we're able to process that together. And so when you can get with someone and process together, you learn more about how God works and how he loves you.
Yeah. And even asking him specifically, I did this in my walk with him, I was realizing that God wanted a closer relationship with me, if you will. And I asked him God, and I knew that he was growing me up quickly in the spirit. And so I asked him to send me a mentor. I just asked him, send me somebody, and he did. I mean, and instantaneously. So, ask for the things that you need in the process. Show me this, God, bring me that, God, ask him. He loves it when we go to him. He wants that communication and relationship with you. And I just want you to know, before you ever open a page or pray a prayer, he already loves and adores you. He just wants you to find out how much. So just go after it and find out how much.
It's an adventure. And then sometimes he'll, be prompting you to do something. And then you're like, why? Because he's doing that with me right now. He's prompting me to do something. And I'm like, oh, another trust journey. And so that's how I think of it. And when really it's no, God wants me to show another level of him. He wants him and me to go deeper in our relationship. He wants to show me something. Why? He wants to show me how much he loves me. And also he wants, me to go deeper in my love for him. So it all goes back to a relationship.
Always.
Always.
Yeah. That's what it is. It's I mean, yeah, that's why Jesus died, is because God wanted to be close with us, you know? And so that's never stopped being true.
Yep.
So I hope that answered your question. And if it didn't, please continue to ask, because we want to be sure that we're addressing things clearly.
Is that it?
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, I think that's our time together.
Yeah.
I won't
Thanks
ruin
for
your-
tuning in. Make sure that you hit the notification bell.
I was just gonna say, maybe I won't ruin your wrap up this time, and then I wreck it.
It's fine.
It's becoming a thing.
Honestly, like I wasn't planning. I was just like, I just wanted to make sure that you hit that notification bell. I feel so goofy saying it.
It's funny.
It's funny.
Part of the YouTube world.
Yeah.
So, but we're really grateful for the time that we spend with you, and that you take to just listen, and hoping that it's just a blessing to you. That's why this whole thing exists and was started, is because the talks that we have in here, we prayed would be a blessing to all of you. So I hope that it is, and that you'll continue to tune in, ask us questions, leave us comments. We want to know what you're thinking. We want to interact with you in that way. And so we just pray a blessing over you today, and that God just takes you throughout your week until we can be together again.
And all I can think of is when Michelle gets off the phone, she always goes, bye. She always like turns it up. You gotta go, bye. And she turns it up.
You do that well. You have that down.
I practice.
I know.
I do the Michelle bye practice without you being around. So go ahead, Michelle. Tell them bye.
All right. Bye.
Thanks for joining us for today's episode. We'd love to hear more of your thoughts, so drop a comment down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you'll know when a new episode of the Sunroom Talks is released. If you'd like more information about SOAR or would like to donate, head on over to the link tree in our bio.